Ladies and gentlemen, good evening and welcome. It's now time for the feature bout of the evening. From the four corners of the world to the four corners of this ring, the fight starts now!
This is something that comes along every now and then in generation, and it's special. And it's no hype. I'm telling you, it's special.
No respect to this guy. Let's go.
Now he's got that fire to the top. You better believe it now. That was something special.
Canelo gets the win.
20 rounds, 12 team victories.
It is over.
Her professional record, a perfect one.
Remember, capture the body.
Great finish from a great finisher.
It was Lamb versus Lamb.
And still the undisputed champion of the world.
We are live from Manchester, New Hampshire. Welcome to the SNHU Arena. This is Matchroom Boxing presents Before the Bell, and I am your host, Karan Bhatia. Thank you so much for joining me. So why are we here? Well, tonight our main event headliner, Demetrius Andrade. He lives about an hour and 45 minutes south of here in Providence, Rhode Island. So he's certainly going to have the home court advantage. So you would think. He's taking on Jason Quigley, who made the long trip from Ireland. And if you've been watching during Fight Week, it seems the Irish fans have traveled. They've been louder. They've been pumped. So tonight we'll see how that plays an effect onto the fight. We have a stacked undercard of fights. And more importantly, in the main card, we have 4 title fights. Title fights are rare. We have 4 of them tonight. That's going to be later on at 8 p.m. Eastern on the Zone. But first, as I mentioned, 4 fights on our undercard. Let's take a look. Starting it off, we have Khalil Coe. This time he made weight, and he's ready to take on Aaron Casper. Then we have another Irishman, Thomas O'Toole. He's motivated. He's missing his college graduation for this. He's taking on Mark Malone. Then we have a classic Mexico versus Puerto Rico rivalry. That's Nelson Perez takes on Raimundo Rios. And then in our main event for the undercards, it's Australia's own Dempsey McKean, 6'6", is taking on Don Haynesworth. And as I mentioned, later on tonight on the Zone at 8 p.m. Eastern, 4 title fights. First up, Kaylee Reese versus Jessica Kamara. Then MJ Akhmadaliev is going to take on Jose Velasquez. Then we have Julio Cesar Martinez is going to take on McWilliams Arroyo. And finally, as I mentioned, Demetrius Andrade is going to be defending his WBO middleweight strap against Jason Quigley, the motivated challenger who says he has nothing to lose, and he's looking to prove that tonight. That's what's happening tonight. Let's look ahead at what's happening on Matchroom and the Zone.
Let's get ready to rumble. Gets him with the left hook.
Her professional record, a perfect one.
Triple J. Wow, what a finish.
The fight starts now!
And now I am joined by Chairman of Matchroom Boxing, Eddie Hearn. Eddie, how are you doing?
Doing great. Excited about tonight. Looking forward to
Absolutely.
the action.
This is the biggest sporting event in Manchester, is that right?
Ever. Not Manchester, New Hampshire.
All of New Hampshire.
Don't try and,
Hey,
we need
I'm
to
sorry.
to build this up.
Apologies. Let's get it straight. The biggest sporting event in all of New Hampshire history.
Ever.
Amazing. We just saw the schedule there. There's also a bunch of great fights coming up. One of those is Lopez Kambosos. And then, of course, we have Haney versus Jojo Diaz. That's on December 4th. My understanding is you have some news to share about December 4th.
We've started to wrap up the undercard for Devin Haney against Jojo Diaz. Our latest superstar signing, Montana Love, gets the co-main event slot against another Diaz as well, 29-1 in a really tough fight. The undisputed women's welterweight championship, Jessica McCaskill, will fight Bustos on the card as well. Filip Hrgovic, who's knocking on the door of a world heavyweight shot, will fight Scott Alexander. The return of Amo Williams, really proud to see him back on the card. Alexis Espino, plenty more on that card to be added as well. But a brilliant run coming up, of course, tonight. Lopez Kambosos next week, and then Haney Diaz, Ben Algieri and Taylor Sharapova, and Chisora against Parker, as well as some international stuff thrown in. So very excited about Vegas. MGM Grand, December 4th. Haney Diaz, massive card, and some big fights announced for the undercard.
Absolutely, huge fight there. And we talked about next week, we have Lopez Kambosos in New York. So let me ask you this. We know about the history. There's a long history with this fight, a lot of false starts. We know Lopez got COVID, nothing you can do about that. Originally, Matchroom made the purse bid. They were outbid. And then as you saw things unfolding and another entity maybe fumbling the bag, did you say, hey, there's a chance we could get this fight back?
Well, we wanted the fight so badly from the start. You know, we outbid Top Rank in that fight, Teofimo Lopez's promoters, and Triller came in with, you know, a very unusual bid for that fight. And when you see a bid like that, sometimes you hope that they might default, and they did default, and it landed in our lap and our hands, and that's a really good fight. You know, Teofimo Lopez, one of the biggest stars in boxing right now. Let's not forget, he was the guy that dethroned Vasily Lomachenko, some people's pound-for-pound #1. But he lost the momentum because of the delays on the fight, because of COVID. And next Saturday, I can't believe we're only 8 days away from Lopez Kambosos, possibly, probably, definitely happening at the Garden. It's going to be a completely sold-out event at Madison Square Garden, Hulu Theatre, and a really good fight. And, you know, Kambosos is coming with fire. He believes he can cause a similar kind of upset that Lopez caused against Lomachenko.
And that was my question for you. There's been so many false starts. This time around, the fight is happening. Kambosos made boarded the plane.
Days.
Yeah, okay.
Just keep everything crossed.
8 days. Now, we talked about the inactivity between each guys. Both guys haven't fought in over a year. How do you think that'll play out in the fight?
I think it's going to lead to an exciting fight. I mean, Teofimo Lopez keeps saying to me, I promise you, this fight will be over in 1 round. And I said, I've paid a lot of money for this fight. Can we at least get a few rounds? And he's going in there to make a vicious statement against Kambosos. But Kambosos is in incredible shape. You know, he's worked hard. He feels like he's improved. I think the inactivity just throws a little bit of the unknown into the fight as well. On paper, because of his performance, Teofimo, you'd have to say, is a strong favourite. I also think Teofimo is going to start becoming very, very big for the weight at 135. I think there's not going to be many fights left for him at 135 before he moves to 140. Just had a child, I think 48 hours ago, sorry. You know, how's that played on the preparation as well? But I just can't wait to get to New York next week and have a really big fight week, a fiery press conference. You know, 2 guys that are coming for it all live on Dazn.
And it definitely will be fiery. These guys do not like each other. And we talked about December 4th. So Devin, the Dream, Haney. Originally, this was supposed to be Ryan Garcia, right? Then there was the significant hand injury. In steps Jojo Diaz. Why are you excited about this matchup?
Well, I mean, you know, Jojo Diaz against Ryan Garcia was a good fighter, but I feel like these guys have been avoiding Devin Haney for a long time. Firstly, Ryan Garcia, then Jojo Diaz. Ryan Garcia picked up the hand injury, and Jojo Diaz, I'll say he had no choice, but all of a sudden the pressure was on. He accepted the challenge. He's a 2-weight world champion. Devin Haney, for me, is the man at 135 pounds. Coming off a great win against Linares, but this is another step up for him. This is to really start making some statements in the division. But Jojo Diaz is tough, he's rugged, he's experienced. As I said, he's a 2-weight world champion, looking to become a 3-weight world champion. He's going to be giving it everything at MGM Grand. And, you know, it's 2 massive lightweight fights back to back. And really, the plan is very simple. The winners fight each other in the spring of next year. And Teofimo Lopez, we have a handshake with him and his dad. He says, I promise you I will fight Devin Haney. I know Devin Haney and Bill Haney will take that fight immediately. If they both win on November 27th and December 4th, I really believe we'll see that super fight in the spring 2022.
Well, that seems to be absolutely on trend, right? These unification fights, these undisputed fights. That's what we want
for sure.
as boxing fans. Now, let me ask you this. We mentioned Devin Haney and the original opponent with Ryan Garcia. When Tank Davis needed a new opponent, it was reported that Devin Haney was ready to step in. They asked the other side, they didn't want to talk about it. Is that true? Devin Haney was ready to step in to take on Tank?
He was. I mean, you know, and I don't blame Tank for not accepting that. You know, he's 5 weeks out. They've got a guy in Isaac Cruz that's an easier fight. He's from the same stable, you know, slot it in. It's very unusual to see a mega fight like that made on 5 weeks' notice. Devin Haney would have taken that fight. You've only got to look at the way people have been avoiding Devin Haney. They know. They've been around him. You know, Tank knows how good Devin Haney is. Teofimo sparred Devin Haney. Ryan Garcia grew up with Devin Haney. They know how good he is. But let's just see these guys fight each other. You've got 4 tremendous lightweights there. You know, we talk about the era of the 4 kings. Right now we've got 4 princes, but they can become kings if they choose to fight each other. We could have 2 or 3 years of those guys fighting each other in rematches, in trilogies. Let's just see it all, and hopefully all the promotional companies, all the platforms can work together to give fight fans an incredible era in the lightweight division.
And we're going to get things started here, but I want to ask you one more thing on the undercards that you mentioned, just announced. So, first of all, Ammo Williams.
Yes.
We know that he had mental health problems, and we know Ryan Garcia did. He's coming back from that. It's good to see that he's going to be back. And then also Jessica McCaskill, right? The undisputed champion. Undisputed is what we want, and we're going to see her in action again. This is a great undercard.
Great card. I mean, as I said, firstly, Montana Love, you know, one of our new superstar signings. You saw him on the Jake Paul undercard, knock out Ivan Barancic on Showtime pay-per-view, clean. It was a real good performance. He's knocking on the door of a world title fight. Jessica McCaskill has been inactive, now comes back against the very tough Bustos, who's been in with Katie Taylor, been in with Brackhouse. Filip Hrgovic, who it's so hard to find an opponent for, steps up against Scott Alexander. I don't think he's ever been stopped. I'd like to see if he can last the distance with Filip Hrgovic. As you said, Ammo Williams as well, you know, a guy who has really struggled mentally over the last year or so. So good to see him back in the ring. He's going to be a real threat to the middleweight division. Alexis Espino, local fighter. Sandoval as well, one of Golden Boy's guys as well on the card. And looking forward to a really big night and a lot of big fights. And, of course, the showcase will be on Devin Haney, but a great undercard too.
Well, there's a lot of fighters who have to prove themselves in the ring. Montana Love was one of them. Another fighter who did that was Alicia Baumgardner. She's going to be joining me. Before that, we're going to look at some of her highlights. And Eddie Hearn, thank you so much for the time.
No problem.
And we bring you back to the SNHU Arena. I'm now joined by Alicia Baumgardner. We just saw some of your handiwork there. So let me ask you this. What is it like to knock someone out when they're still standing on their feet?
Man, unbelievable. I've gotten so many comments that nobody has seen something like that, and I shocked myself with that one.
Here's what I noticed in that tape. You won that fight, and you weren't even excited at all. What did that moment feel like for you?
That moment was everything. You know, I dreamed of that moment. I spoke it into existence. I put it in my head. I kept saying, and the new, and, you know, it showed.
There's a chance that Terry Harper may want a rematch. We're not sure exactly. Who would you like to fight next?
I would like to fight Choi. You know, I want to unify the division. I think that's something that is necessary, and to really show who the top dog is at 130.
Well, we're going to have a lot of unification fights, undisputed fights, and that's all coming up tonight. So let's take a look at the card.
One night, 4 world title bouts.
7 straps up for grabs. Wow, what a lineup.
It's time for the main event of the evening. Andrade!
Every time I see this man, he gets better and better. Just the total package of a champion.
Right away, Keeler goes down. Andrade remains undefeated.
Quigley!
What a stage for Quigley to showcase himself. If he's on form, he could be a real handful.
Wow. What a finish. It's world title fight night on Dazn. Let's get it on.
So later tonight on the Zone at 8 o'clock Eastern, we have 4 title fights. The first of those is a unification bout on the road to undisputed at 140 pounds, and that is Kaylee Reese versus Jessica Kamara. What are your thoughts on that fight?
First of all, it's just awesome to see women being on this platform and to showcase that. I think it's going to be a great fight. I think it's going to be intense. You know, us women bring the fight and, you know, keep the fans on their feet.
There's been a lot of debate about women's boxing, and it seems like now it's finally getting its just due. Do you feel like women's boxing is having a moment here?
Yeah, absolutely. It's definitely grown. The sport is growing. Women are being showcased. The light is being shown on us, and it's just amazing to be a part of.
Absolutely. So we're going to kick things off here at the SNHU Arena. We're live from Manchester, New Hampshire. And to get everything started, we are going to throw it to our ring announcer and MC, David Diamante.
Ladies and gentlemen, good evening and welcome to the SNHU Arena here in Manchester, New Hampshire. We are live on Dazn for an incredible evening of World Championship Professional Boxing. It's all being brought to you courtesy of Mr. Eddie Hearn of Matchroom Boxing. We begin tonight with a full round light heavyweight affair. Please welcome, as he makes his way to the ring from Augusta, Georgia, Aaron Gosmas Casper.
This nigga straight quick. Before I go broke like Jock, with that dog like V. Not that rock, that P. How many down in my sock, can't hold my Glock, reason I don't really like that. Gun turn, can't wipe no. Excuse my French, don't like no. Limo 10 off fat, my car, yeah, I had it hurt. My bro bad, I ain't had it hurt. Yeah, that's us. Two-tone AP, yeah, I'm bust. Got to hear from her, ain't even wanna. Why? Bye. Don't me say thing revive. Oh, tell on bro should dad. Dog he Kim, dog he need try. Table chain off, not good. Probably in some fast with a Glock in the hood. Course had take spell a walk on the wood. First turn from the hood, they curious. Boy, cry about 5 years. I get the codes with number this year.
And now set to make his ring walk, please welcome Big Stepper Khalil Cole.
First fight, missed weight. Eddie Hearn told him he better make weight this time around, and he did just that. He's from a tough part of Jersey City, New Jersey called The Hill. He said, I grew up fighting on the streets. That is the difference between me and a lot of other fighters. This isn't new to me. The only thing that changes in the ring is that these are gloves, and I'm getting paid for it now. I've been doing it all my life, but we'll see what he'll do tonight in the ring.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again, good evening and welcome to the Granite State, Manchester, New Hampshire, where the motto is live, free, or die. We are live on the zone from the Southern New Hampshire University Arena, a.k.a. the SNHU, for a great night of World Championship Professional Boxing. It's all being brought to you courtesy of Mr. Eddie Hearn of Matchroom Boxing. We are sponsored by BetOnline and JD Sports. All of tonight's bouts are sanctioned under the auspices of the New Hampshire Boxing and Wrestling Commission. The chairman is Bobby Stephen. The commissioners are Kim McBride and Art Nolan. Introducing your 3 judges scoring our first contest from ringside. From Connecticut, Tom Carasone. From Rhode Island, Eddie Scuncio. And from Massachusetts, Martha Tremblay. And at the sound of the bell, your third man in the ring, referee Tom Clark. And now, ladies and gentlemen, 4 rounds of boxing scheduled in the light heavyweight division. Introducing first, fighting out of the red corner, wearing the black, green, and gold. He scaled 174.8 pounds. His professional record, 6 wins, 4 defeats, 1 draw, with 5 wins coming by way of knockout. He fights out of Augusta, Georgia, introducing Aaron Gosmas Casper. And his opponent across the ring fighting out of the blue corner. He wears the black trunks with the white and blue trim. He scaled 175.8 pounds. His young professional record thus far perfect, 1 fight, 1 victory, and that victory came by way of knockout. He fights out of Jersey City, New Jersey, introducing Big Stepper Khalil Cole.
Hey guys, went over the rules in the dressing room. What's a punch in the back of the head? This is good. This is good. Obey my commands at all times. Touch him up.
And we get underway here for Khalil Coe versus Aaron Casper. They meet in the center of the ring. Alicia, this is only Khalil Coe's second pro fight, so what would be your advice to him?
You know, establish the jab. I think it's always important to start with the jab to set the tone for round number one.
And we talked about Khalil Coe's background. He said he had to fight on the streets. This is just a different version of that, right?
Right, yes. I think when you have that type of fight in the streets, you're definitely going to bring it in the ring and just on a different platform, right?
Absolutely. And let's see how Khalil Coe can work that jab. He's going to want to establish that early. He's going to want to take control of this fight. It's a little different than a street fight. And Coe throwing some nice combinations, varying the punches to the body, to the head. And that's always important, right, to go to the body early?
Yes, I think mixing it up, going to the head, fading to the body, breaking down your opponent round number one straight out the gate.
Casper is the challenger, as we said. His record is 6-4-1. But as we mentioned, 5 of those wins were by knockout. So when he wins, he usually knocks you out.
Right. You always just got to be careful in there, It takes one punch.
Are you speaking from experience?
I'm speaking from experience.
So when you came in there in your fight versus Terry Harper, your most recent fight, I should say, when did you know that you were in control in there?
I knew I was in control when I flew into the UK, right? Just up to the press conference, to the weigh-ins, and now to the fight. Being in control was something that I already put in my head, and that's exactly what we did coming out of round one.
You certainly did that. You made a huge statement, sent shockwaves through the world of boxing. How has your life changed since?
My life has just changed always, for the better, and I'm just thankful to be in this position and to really do what I love, and that's box.
Round one is usually a feeling out round, but the thing is, this is a 4-round fight. Is there a little bit more pressure on these guys to do something in a round one and not just feel each other out?
Yeah, I would agree. 4 rounds goes pretty quick, and again, if you can make your statement in the first round, it would carry on and then maybe even finish before the 4th round comes.
And just 30 seconds left. And here comes Khalil Coe. You know that he's going to want to put on a show. He's newly signed to Matchroom. This is his second pro fight. The first fight, he didn't make weight. Eddie Hearn had a strong talking with him, and he said, you better make weight. He did this time. So he's obviously very motivated here to have a good showing for the Matchroom crowd and for all the people here at the SNHU Arena. 10 seconds left in round one. Khalil Coe, certainly the aggressor, backing up Casper here at the end of the round. Khalil Coe working the jab nicely. Would you have liked to seen it more, or were you okay with the amount he used it there?
I would say I'm okay with that. Definitely the second round, he has to come out and just apply a little more pressure, double up in the jab. Go ahead and keep going to the head and to the body.
And in some of these replays, we're seeing a lot of different variation, level changes. He's thrown to the head, and then he's going back down to the body, then back to the head. He's keeping his opponent guessing, right?
Correct.
So if you're in the corner now of Aaron Casper, what would be your advice?
I would say apply pressure, come forward. You only have 4 rounds in there, so throw your punches and see if one of those lands.
If you were in the corner of Casper, would you kind of be looking at it as a all or nothing mentality, right? Have a spectacular knockout of this guy, or at least try to do that.
Yeah, come out there with the aggression of, hey, I want to win this fight.
Round 2 here underway on Matchroom's Before the Bell. Khalil Coe in the black and silver trunks. Aaron Casper in the black and gold. And it looks like Aaron Casper maybe took your advice. He's coming out a little bit more aggressive here. Khalil Coe answering back. Throws a combination to the head. And there's some nice body work. He's definitely trying to invest to the body.
Yes, I think he's making it a little difficult for Coe to, come just too easy, he's definitely keeping his defense high.
And when you fought Terry Harper in her hometown, was it important for you to establish yourself as the tougher fighter, as the stronger fighter?
Just as, just the fighter that I am, again, just going out there with the confidence that I've already had and just making my statement, round number one.
And there was a slip there that was ruled a slip, so not a knockdown. Quigley slipped. Both guys tangled up in the center of the ring here. It's another nice combination for Code. And let's see what looked like he was playing possum there a little bit. I don't know if that was a tactic or what exactly happened there, but Quigley was up to something on that one. We talked about Quigley's background. Said he's been boxing since he was 13 years old when his mother brought him in to the boxing gym. Quigley said if you wanted to go outside, you had to know how to fight. Someone was going to bother you, and you had to defend himself. So it seems like boxing was a natural extension for him.
Yeah, I would agree. I think, just being able to use your fighting skills inside the ring is a lot safer way to go.
Definitely better to do it in a controlled setting.
Yes.
As in the center of the ring. Both guys here getting tangled up. And it looks like there's going to be a timeout. Let's see if we can find out what's the reason for the stoppage here. I don't think either fighter is going to complain about getting a little rest here.
I would agree.
If you get into the mind of Aaron Casper, I mean, this is his chance to play spoiler, right? I mean, he's definitely the B side, right? People are here to see Quigley, who's undefeated. But anything can happen in boxing.
Anything can happen, yes. I think Casper has nothing to lose. So, again, as you can see, he's moving forward, establishing, his jab as well, and not really letting Ko get off.
And in your mind, is there anything else that, besides swarming Ko, which it looks like Casper is doing, is there anything else that you would recommend him to do?
Yeah, sit with him. Sit in the inside, throw those body shots. If he's moving too much, control the distance and, stay right there and throw some punches, combinations.
Both men tangled up here in the center of the ring as round two ends. Quigley, as we mentioned, from Jersey City, New Jersey. The area he's from is called The Hill. 20-4 as an amateur. So let's look at some replays here. And Alicia, what are you seeing on these replays?
I definitely see, Casper is coming forward and so is Ko. But I think there needs to be a decisive, winner. It's too close in the sense of who's throwing many punches. We need landed punches and hard punches.
Right now, it's up to the judge's interpretation, and you'd like to see someone actually take control of the round.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, this is 4 rounds, so it goes by pretty quick. And taking advantage of the round, the full 3 minutes would be necessary for Ko to come out victorious.
And when you're a fighter on the way up, as Ko is, signed to Matchroom, 1-0, is it important to have statement wins on the way up?
I agree. I think that just builds your resume from the beginning and puts everybody on alert. And really for yourself, the confidence builder that you need.
And we get underway here in round 3. Quigley in the black and silver trunks. His opponent, Aaron Casper, the black and gold. And Casper now backing up Ko. And Casper is taking your advice. He's not standing back. He's being the aggressor. He's trying to make something happen.
Yes, and I think, he's doing his job right. Making Ko, second guess what's coming in. Again, I would like to see Ko establish his jab again and double up on that jab.
And let me ask you something. What do you think about Casper's stance at the moment? Because I know we've seen in your fights as well, you don't necessarily have your hands tucked up to your chin. You kind of keep them out in front of your body a little bit, right? What's the advantage of doing that?
It's really just at the moment, what are you seeing? Sometimes my hands are up, and sometimes, if I feel like I can control the distance of my opponent coming in, I'm going to use my hands for sure.
And that's certainly what you did before the knockout of Terry Harper. Both guys getting tangled up here. No one has really taken control of this fight. There hasn't been a statement moment. There hasn't been a statement round for either guy. So right now it's really up to the judges.
Right, I agree. I think it's very close in a sense of what are you scoring, you know?
And here comes Aaron Casper. Landing a few combinations. Some of those are scoring, some of those are not.
Yeah, I would like for Ko to sit there in his punches. He seems to have strong legs, so I think he can get a few punches and combinations off, and as we see right
There's
there.
some body shots.
But more, though. We need more.
More activity from Ko is what you
More
like to see.
activity.
Yeah. Aaron Casper stalking. Just in terms of the geography of the fight, I mean, it's Aaron Casper mostly backing up Khalil Ko. And if you're a judge watching that, you could give him points for ring generalship.
Absolutely.
Both men tangled up here. There's a nice right hand for Casper. They were locked in a clinch there, and Casper just took a step back and landed the nice right hand. You should never stop working in boxing.
Never
right?
stop working, no. When you're in the inside like that, you know, your hand's free, work the free hand.
Don't just wait for the referee to break it up.
Exactly.
And again, Casper is backing up Ko. I mean, it just seems like Ko doesn't necessarily have the output right now.
Right. You know, I think he's just, you know, moving and not throwing enough punches as Casper is coming forward. And, you know, you can see any punch can land now.
And it's not that Casper's necessarily landing all of these shots, but he's throwing a lot of shots and he's backing Ko up.
Right. He's just doing a little more.
So we know that in Ko's first fight, his pro debut, he had issues with the weight. This time he made the weight. Do you think there's any chance that making the weight maybe affected his performance in the ring here?
It could be. It could be, you know, an option that maybe, you know, the weight, cutting the weight and making the weight could really change someone's output of punches. You know, we understand that cutting weight is serious, and how you come back, it will show in the fight.
Khalil Ko probably needs something to happen at the end of this fight. Either way, it could go either way in the scorecards, but it hasn't been a one-sided performance, which is probably what was expected from the 1-0 Ko. So, Alicia, you're trained by LJ Harrison, of course, brother of Tony Harrison.
Right.
What does LJ say to you in the corner in a moment like this to motivate you?
You know, have fun, really. You know, establish a jab. You know, keep doing what you're doing, and you know, make every punch count. Commit. He would say, commit to every punch.
And I'm sure the corner of Khalil Ko would like to see him commit more to a few shots. And Aaron Casper has just been backing up Ko, throwing combinations. As we've been saying, not all of them are landing, but he's throwing shots, and some of them are, like that right uppercut right there.
Right. I think right now he came out of the gate perfect, and I think he's showing a little confidence.
Khalil Ko has looked a little sluggish. Came out doing his thing in round one, working to the body, working to the head, but he has significantly slowed down as the rounds have gone on.
Correct. I think he definitely needs more than one punch in this fight for someone against Casper, who's throwing, you know, more than one punch as well.
Khalil Ko, we know that he wants to make a statement. We mentioned he came from a tough area called The Hill in New Jersey. He said now that he's well known in boxing, he said you hear things like people saying, who does he think he is? He thinks he's better than us. He ain't nothing. So it's been a change for him in terms of getting the new fame, signing with Matchroom, and trying to make a statement. Both men tangled up in the center of the ring. It doesn't seem like Khalil Ko is fighting with the urgency he needs to right now.
I agree. I think just right now what we're seeing is Casper is just doing enough. The little punches count as well, you know. And if you're in position to throw a bigger shot, that shot can actually take you down. So I think they're both in a good position to be where they are, but who's going to use their legs to really dig in those punches, dig to the body?
And there was a nice right uppercut that landed for Aaron Casper. But he didn't follow it up, right? He didn't follow it up with another combination. He kind of drifted backwards. I don't know if that's fatigue or he just chose not to throw a combination there.
Could be fatigue, but it's always great to follow up with another punch, just to make sure.
And there's another slip there for Khalil Coe. That's not a scoring blow by any means, but that actually can add a little bit to the fatigue because you have to get yourself up off the canvas.
Absolutely.
And here comes Aaron Casper. This is his moment to play spoiler. He's been backing up Khalil Coe. He's been throwing combinations. And there's 10 seconds left in this fight. We'll see if either man can make something happen. Khalil Coe, 1-0. Will he remain undefeated after this fight? It's really in the judges' hands. We don't know.
I agree. I wouldn't mind to see which way it would go because, again, it was too close.
It seemed like as the fight wore on, Aaron Casper was the hungrier of the two, and he decided to throw more. Let's look at some of the replays here. Early on, as we mentioned, Coe was thrown to the body, throwing to the head, varying his punches up, but he seemed to slow down. There was a nice right hand there for Casper. It looked like the mouthpiece maybe came out for Coe, and Casper was just stalking Coe. And this is not what was expected when you see a 1-0 fighter facing another fighter who has a lot of losses.
Sometimes those fighters come with nothing to lose, and they will give their all. And again, Casper showed that he had nothing to lose and that he was coming forward and throwing really whatever punches, tying you up. And, Coe still remained,
This is the moment that Aaron Casper maybe has been waiting for in his career. He wanted a big fight with some recognition, and if you're going to take out an undefeated fighter, that can definitely help your career in a big way.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, building that confidence. We understand that confidence is important in this sport, and someone like Casper, who does have a few losses, this win could really push him forward in the sense of having the confidence that he needs.
Khalil Coe, he doesn't necessarily look too excited there in the corner, not trying to sell anything to the judges. Seemed like he's resigned to his fate. But either way, it was a close fight. We don't have one specific winner. And for the final decision here, we're going to throw it up to David Diamante.
Ladies and gentlemen, after 4 rounds here in Manchester, New Hampshire, we go to the judges' scorecards. Eddie Scuncio, 39-37, Khalil Coe. Martha Tremblay and Tom Carasone both score the bout. 38-38, we have a majority draw.
And there you have it. Aaron Casper and Khalil Coe fight to a majority draw. We were saying it's going to be up to the judges. We're not really sure who's winning, and a draw seems okay, right?
I would agree. I would agree with the draw.
So if you now go back to the drawing board in the camp of Khalil Coe, what would be your message to their camp? What can they do better next time out?
I think definitely, incorporate, more punches. More punches is always good. Setting up punches, just keeping that pressure. If he kept the pressure with Casper, I think he would have been more effective like we've seen in round 1. So again, just pushing forward and applying more pressure.
And if you're Aaron Casper, so that wasn't a win, but he now changes to 6-4-2, 2 draws. How would you build upon this if you're in the Aaron Casper camp?
I would tell Casper, keep doing what you're doing. In the sport, you have to learn, and you never stop learning. So keep applying that pressure as well. I think he did decent against Coe, but again, apply the pressure. You never know what punch might land that will get you that knockout.
Is it possible that, in terms of the weight cut, we know Khalil had issues last time. Is it possible that this just may not be the right weight class for him?
Possibly, making weight is something that is a science. And, as I learned as a fighter, you have to be very strategic in how you cut weight because the next day is performance. And you have to be 100% in the ring when you fight.
So Khalil, his career, it's going to have a small blemish. It's a draw, not a loss. He can still build upon that. He can still have a lot of success, still have a lot of opportunities even after this draw, right? As long as he makes some changes going forward.
Yes, definitely have to make some changes. Changes are always necessary after every fight, and I think that would be great for him.
And we have a great card here tonight on Matchrooms before the bell. Next up, we're going to have Thomas O'Toole. He's from Ireland. Our main event headliner, Jason Quigley, the challenger, is also from Ireland. So there might be some fans here who have come out early to support Thomas O'Toole. He's taking on Mark Malone. Both men are undefeated. Both men are 1-0, so they're going to want to make a statement. When you were 1-0, what was your thinking going into a fight?
Make a statement. Get the knockout. It's your second fight, and these are building fights, right? So I think that it's necessary, right?
And so when you're fighting at that level, right, the 1-0, you're the second fight on an undercard. The arena hasn't really packed in yet. There's a few fans. What is that like, coming out to seeing like a few people here? It's not totally packed. Is that good or bad? Does that make you less nervous that there's less people here?
No nerves at all. I think it just reminds me of being in the gym, you having your teammates around while you're sparring. And so it just kind of transitions to this. And, you don't really allow the crowd to really take over, because you're in control when you're fighting.
So we're going to keep it moving here on Before the Bell. We're going to send it up to David Diamante in a moment for Thomas O'Toole versus Mark Malone. We mentioned O'Toole from Ireland. There's a lot of pride there for your country, right? You had to go into enemy territory. You noticed that firsthand.
Absolutely, yes. I seen it, I felt it, but I loved it. I enjoyed it, and I embraced the energy that I was given.
So how do you turn that situation, going into enemy territory, where you're probably getting booed, people are not happy, they're supporting the other person. How do you turn that into a positive?
You just take it and you use it for your advantage. I had the boos, but again, I embraced the boos. I thought they were cheers to me. So, you just have to go in with the right attitude and understand that, you're in the territory and you're coming in as a challenger. So soak it all up.
If you're fighting in your hometown, there's a lot of obligations there, right? You got to get tickets for family and friends. There's a lot of distractions, right? Do you think it's actually more difficult to fight in your own hometown than going onto enemy territory?
In a sense, it just depends on who you are. I think if you just stay focused on task and what you have to do as a fighter, keep that, that focus. And, my focus is I got to fight. This is what I'm doing. And, I allow the other things to be taken care of by someone else, so I can focus.
So we're going to keep it moving here. We're going to get ready for Thomas O'Toole versus Mark Malone. And we're going to now throw it up to ring announcer David Diamante.
Ladies and gentlemen, from Manchester, New Hampshire, we are set to go with a special cruiserweight attraction. Now set to make his ring walk, undefeated fighter from Longview, Texas. Please welcome Mark Money Malone.
And we're down,
and here comes Mark Malone, nickname King, 26 years old, cruiserweight from Texas. He has a background in MMA. When we asked him, what are your goals in boxing? He said, I want to be like Canelo. That's not a bad goal, right?
Not at all.
He's got a long road, though, to do that. He's just 1-0. But you have to start somewhere.
You do. You have to start somewhere. You have to, set those goals early in this sport.
His bio said, I'm the one you don't want to sleep on. So we'll see if he can make a statement here tonight.
And now, set to make his ring walk from Galway, Ireland, Thomas the Kid O'Toole.
And there is Thomas O'Toole, the kid from Ireland, 23 years old. Today was supposed to be his graduation from college. He decided to take the fight instead. He said, "This opportunity means the world to me. I'm just a kid from rural Ireland, and to be fighting on Matchroom is amazing." Thomas O'Toole said, "I fight for my family. When I see they are proud, it motivates me."
That's dope. You know, I think, again, I was given the opportunity to fight Terry Harper, and so I understand his vision and his excitement to have this opportunity to be fighting tonight.
A big moment here for Thomas O'Toole, coming all the way from Ireland, looking to make a statement.
Ladies and gentlemen, from Manchester, New Hampshire, live on Dazn, we are set to go with a special cruiserweight attraction. It's all being brought to you courtesy of Mr. Eddie Hearn of Matchroom Boxing. We're sponsored by Bet Online and JD Sports. Introducing your 3 judges scoring this contest from ringside. From Massachusetts, John Madfis. From New York, Tony Paolillo. And from New Jersey, Steve Smoger. At the sound of the bell, your third man in the ring, referee Kevin Hope. And now, ladies and gentlemen, 4 rounds of boxing scheduled in the cruiserweight division. Introducing first, fighting out of the red corner, wearing the black trunks with the gold trim. He scaled 198.6 pounds. His young professional record thus far perfect, 1 fight, 1 victory. Fighting out of Longview, Texas, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mark Money Malone. And his opponent across the ring, fighting out of the blue corner. He wears the white trunks with the green and gold trim. This young Irish southpaw scaled at already 186.8 pounds. His professional record thus far perfect, 1 fight, 1 victory, and that victory came by way of knockout. Fighting out of Galway, Ireland, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Thomas the Kid O'Toole.
Okay, gentlemen, you've had your instructions in the dressing room. Protect yourselves at all times, obey my commands at all times. Watch your heads coming in. This is good on the belt line. Touch them up, good luck.
And this is scheduled for a 4-round fight. Both fighters 1-0, looking to protect their undefeated records early on in their careers. And let's get you underway here at the SNHU Arena in Manchester, New Hampshire. Karan Bhatia on the call, joined by Alicia Baumgardner. Thomas O'Toole is in the white and green trunks. Mark Malone in the black and gold. And both men feeling each other out in this round 1.
Already, I like how Toole's feet are looking. His footwork, his rhythm seems to be great, just coming out of the round number 1.
Thomas O'Toole looking to establish the jab, establish distance.
I'm liking the feints as well from Toole. I think those are important in boxing.
Certainly O'Toole working the feints, keeping Mark Malone guessing. There's a straight left hand for O'Toole that barely misses.
Shoulders are high from Toole. I like that as well.
And here comes O'Toole. There's a big left hand. Down goes Malone in round 1, and that's the end of the fight. It's a first round knockout from Thomas O'Toole. And now the question becomes, is Mark Malone okay? Thomas O'Toole coming in to check in on him. That was a devastating shot from Thomas O'Toole.
Yes, like I said, he came out, with his rhythm already, timing, and was straight down the middle.
That was a very impressive performance from Thomas O'Toole. He had control the entire way. He was feinting, working at distance, and it looked like he set up exactly what he was intending to.
Exactly. I would totally agree.
And it looks like Mark Malone is slowly getting up, rising to his feet. He should definitely take all the time he needs. Absolutely devastating by Thomas O'Toole. They're going to slowly raise him up to the stool here. And O'Toole is doing the classy thing here. He's not celebrating. He's kind of waiting to make sure that his opponent is okay. And there, Mark Malone gets on the stool. You can see him talking to the ringside physician. That's a good sign.
It is, yes.
And this is boxing. This is a business. You want to get wins, but you don't necessarily want to see someone hurt.
No, you definitely always want to make sure that your opponent is still safe in there, knowing that knockouts could happen. But, we always pray for the safety of the fighters.
And there's a good sign of sportsmanship between O'Toole and Mark Malone. And let's take a look at the replays here. That was that devastating left hand that just dropped Malone. He was out as soon as he got hit with it, right there. He's a southpaw, so he throws a straight left hand, but that had a little bit of a loop to it, almost like a looping left hand, and he just caught Mark Malone, who had no answer for Thomas O'Toole, who now improves to 2-0.
2-0, I think he did amazing setting that up and just shooting it right down the middle.
And now we're going to throw it up to David Diamante for the official particulars.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's get a nice round of applause out here, please, for both of these fighters. The end comes at 1:31 of round number 1. Your winner by knockout. He's still undefeated from Galway, Ireland. Thomas the Kid O'Toole.
Thomas O'Toole improves to 2-0 with an absolutely devastating left hand that took out Mark Malone in round 1. If you're a young fighter, as Thomas O'Toole is, only 23 years old, and you're looking to make a statement, that's how you do it, right?
That's how you do it, yes. He did everything correctly and did what he was supposed to.
And we're going to have the opportunity to speak to young Thomas O'Toole, get his thoughts. Remember, this was supposed to be his college graduation. He chose to take this fight instead. Safe to say he made the right decision, right?
I would say he definitely made the right decision.
This was a huge opportunity for Thomas O'Toole. He mentioned that fighting on this type of platform is something that he's always wanted. He came from a rural area in Ireland, and this just meant everything to him, fighting for his family. They motivated him. His family's certainly going to be proud tonight.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And when you look at his opponent, Mark Malone, it clearly wasn't his night. He couldn't get anything established. He couldn't do what he wanted in there, and obviously knocked out cold. The important thing is that he's healthy. The last thing on his mind right now should be boxing, right?
Absolutely. I think, again, just going back and getting yourself, straight and mentally back together, because that was a big blow.
Thomas O'Toole. He held a 25-7 record in the amateurs. Now improves to 2-0 with 2 knockouts, a perfect record. He's a southpaw. He's a cruiserweight. He can move. Seems like he's got it all, right?
I think so. You know, his skill is just even being a southpaw and just having that type of skill is definitely going to be challenging for some fighters out there.
He told us, I've worked my whole life for this opportunity, and he definitely made the most of it. So when you have a quick victory like that, right, less than a round, how soon do you think he could be back in the ring?
Oh, soon, you know, less than a month, and I would say a good month and a half, depending on how they allow him to move. But I definitely know when I had my quick and one and done, I'm like, I'm ready to get back in there.
And we're going to be speaking to the young Thomas O'Toole. We're going to get him up here on Before the Bell. Thomas O'Toole, come on up here. I'll hold the mic since you still got the gloves on. So this was supposed to be your college graduation. Yeah. You chose to fight instead. Are you happy with that decision?
Yeah, I meant to graduate college today, and when I got the call for this, can't turn it down. Like, you know, for the last 4 years I was thinking about my college graduation, how I couldn't wait to celebrate it, but being invited to the biggest stage in boxing was amazing. I'm happy to be here.
And we're going to take a look actually at your knockout. It was the left hand, the looping left hand. Take us through, what do you see here?
Yeah, I hit him just before that. Yeah, before that I hit him and with the same overhand left, and I seen it wobbled him. So I got him in the corner and I feinted, and then went again, caught him in the same punch, and that was it. He was tricky enough for the first minute, so.
And it seemed like during the first minute you were trying to establish your jab, establish position. What was going on in the first minute of that fight before you found the knockdown?
I was just trying to find my jab, you know, get my position, get my feet going, everything, you know. You know, this is a big stage, so, you know, the nerves were there, to be honest. You know, it's amazing to be here. And when I first got in there, I was like, okay, just get the jab going, get the feet going, and it'll fall into place, like, which it did in the end.
So there was one punch that hurt him before the knockout, and then the knockout. When you landed the left hand, it was a little bit of a looping shot. Did you know? Did you know that was the end of the fight?
I knew I wobbled him. I knew it wasn't over because he was still standing, you know. And you know, he can recover quick enough. People can, like, you know. So I knew I had to press the gas a bit, but not rushing. I didn't want to smother my work. You know, I know lads when they're first turn pro, they go rushing, you know. So I didn't want to rush it. I knew I caught him once, I'd be able to catch him again. He was tricky. He was waiting for the counter all the time. Hard to get him to engage, so I knew I had to set up a good shot.
And let's look here. That's the left hand that hurt him. He was on wobbly legs at that point.
I seen his leg go, so that's why I pressed him then.
And you got the knockout finish there. So you improved to 2-0.
Yeah. 2
knockouts. So now the question is, what's next for you, and how soon do you want to get back in the ring?
Back in right away. I'm training full time, you know, so I think I'll be out again in January. I have my manager Ryan. He got me on this card, so hopefully he'll be able to get me out in January again. He has a show going on, so I'll see, you know, hopefully I can get out on a Matchroom card again. You know, I'm grateful to be here, and I hope I showed something that they like.
And later on tonight in the main event, we have your countryman, Jason Quigley. He's the challenger, taking on Demetrius Andrade, challenging for the WBO middleweight title. What do you expect to see from Jason Quigley tonight?
Hard. I know. I think he can do it. You know, he brought all the support from back home with him, and you know, I watched him up there at the weigh-in at the press conference, and I wouldn't know him personally, but I was so proud. I was nearly in tears. You know, it's just amazing to see an Irishman up there on that stage, come into the champion's backyard and, you know, trying to take his title. So I think he can do it. I believe he can do it. You know, he has a good amateur background, just like Boo Boo, and you know, he put the work in. I think he can do it. I believe he can do it.
You're only 23 years old. Are you visualizing yourself on that stage and having the Irish fans travel for you in a main event?
Yeah, this whole week now I'm watching Jason there, and I'm thinking one day maybe that could be me. So, you know, that's the goal. You know, I'm working with my manager and training now, and we're gonna just keep it trying to improve. You know, even that round there, I seen things I need to improve on. You know, need to get back in the range. You know, COVID, I had a long break from it, so I need to get the rounds in, and so.
And this week we were talking about Demetrius Andrade is from Providence, Rhode Island, but Jason Quigley believes the Irish fans are going to come out for him. Now, it's still early here in the arena. People are still coming in. Did you hear any Irish fans cheering already?
Oh, I did, yeah. When I was walking out, I heard them. Like, they're the best fans in the world, I believe. You know, I made my debut in September, and I was the loudest crowd in the place. All the Irish came out. It's amazing the support they gave us here. Boston's our second home. It is a lot of Irish here, and they all come out and support it. It's amazing.
So when this arena fills up, what do you think the energy is going to be like when Jason Quigley makes his walk later tonight?
I'm just grateful I can be here for it. It's going to be an amazing atmosphere. I've seen everyone at the press conference for him, and the way in, he's gonna fill this place up.
Last question for you. How do you plan to celebrate tonight?
Hopefully Jason wins and we can celebrate together. I have no plan. The important thing for me was just to get the win, and that's it. I'll chill out with my family and friends that are here with me and watch Jason. Hopefully we'll be able to celebrate afterwards together.
Thomas O'Toole, you improved to 2-0, 2 knockouts. Congratulations, and thank you so much.
I just want to say one thing. From Lima, a funnel tar brother from Somalia. Took my heart out of looks of.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And let's take a look at the highlights of Thomas O'Toole's handiwork. Mark Malone making his way to the ring there. Thomas O'Toole. So it was the left hand that hurt him right there. And then the looping left hand, boom, and Malone was out.
I love that he used his feints before he did that. Again, the feint set is just like a punch, And his feints were beautiful, and obviously the punch that he threw landed and really flush and looked great.
And he mentioned that. He mentioned that he was actually trying to set that up, and he was able to do that by using feints, by using distance.
Mm-hmm.
That's not easy to do.
It's not. It's definitely a skill that you have to acquire, and I think just him coming out and him only being, this early in his career, he's establishing something, and it shows.
Thomas O'Toole improves to 2-0, 2 knockouts. Mark Malone, the important thing is that he's okay, right?
He is okay, yes.
Yeah. And we have a stacked card here. Coming up next, we're going to have Mexico versus Puerto Rico. It's Nelson Perez versus Raimundo Rios. Now, that's always a hard-fought rivalry, right?
Always.
Mexico versus Puerto Rico. So I'm definitely interested to see what's going to happen in that one. Nelson Perez is 4-0. Rios is 3-7-2. So what do you expect to see in that fight?
Again, fireworks. I think a nonstop action. We know how these rivals are, and we understand that they always give a great fight. So, again, I think round number 1 is going to be fireworks off bat.
And we'll see what happens. That fight was certainly fireworks.
Yes.
We'll see if the momentum continues in terms of the next matchup. Nelson Perez, as we mentioned, Raimundo Rios. We're here live at the SNHU Arena. The fans are coming in. Demetrius Andrade, from an hour and 45 minutes south of here, from Providence, Rhode Island. You would think he's the hometown fighter. Jason Quigley mentioned he's going to have the fans. Who do you think is going to have more fans in the main event tonight?
That's a great question. I was at the weigh-ins yesterday, and the fans came out, and you could hear them. They're chanting, and it's going to be great. It's going to be really great.
The question is, though, were there more fans, or were they just louder?
Great question. They were loud. So we'll just have to see, as the fight continues on, to see how the crowd is.
And speaking of our main event fighters, Demetrius Andrade. Now, we know Andrade has struggled in terms of getting the big opponents to fight him. He's called out Canelo Alvarez. Canelo Alvarez now moving up to cruiserweight. He's called out Triple G. That fight hasn't happened. What do you think Demetrius Andrade has to do to market himself to get these big fights?
I think he has to have a dominating performance tonight. I think a knockout, a clean knockout, would definitely, put him on to say, hey, I need these fights, fight me. And again, just, staying at it, staying in the gym, staying ready. But I think his performance tonight will really solidify why he believes that, he deserves a Canelo and a Triple G fight.
And that's the question, right? We've seen Andrade hurt his opponents, but then he hasn't necessarily followed it up. He's played it a little bit more safe and kind of coasted to a victory. Do you think that when he has his opponents hurt, let's say he gets a knockdown early, he should capitalize on that and go for a knockout because he wants to get these highlight reel knockouts? He wants to get people talking about him.
I would say you have to capitalize on that moment. Playing it safe in the ring, I've learned that you can't play it safe. Yeah. Go all out, balls deep, right? And finish, and really just capture that moment when you have somebody hurt.
And the other part of it, too, is that if you aren't having highlight reel knockouts, right? The other thing you can do is have a persona. We saw Floyd Mayweather do this, right? He wasn't necessarily knocking everyone out, but he took on the villain persona. People tuned in to want to see him lose. He never lost, right? And so do you think Demetrius Andrade, there's an opportunity for him to do something similar? He's 30-0, he's undefeated. Is that something he could do as well?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, there's avenues to try and to, you know, gain a different perspective outside the ring and just build yourself as a fighter. And, you know, the fans will cling to that. So I think that'd be great for him to do as well.
When we saw you fight Terry Harper, you had to go across the pond, right, for that opportunity. If you're Demetrius Andrade, we've seen him fight here near home before. He's fighting here tonight at SNHU. He's fought at the Dunkin' Donuts Center in Providence. Do you think that he may have to do that? Go to enemy territory to get those big matchups?
Yeah, you know, sometimes it's necessary against having a dominating performance. If that's going over to someone else's country, having a nasty knockout, I think you need those to really, for the fans to be like, you know what, we need him and he needs those fights.
Part of boxing today, it's not just what you do in the ring, it's marketing yourself. And we've seen that from people from other walks of life, right? We've seen the Jake Pauls, the Logan Pauls getting these big fights. And I've always said it's a lot of work actually to even be a YouTuber, to create your own audience, right? You're not just stepping into the ring with no audience. You've created that audience, and now they're watching you do other things. Boxing may be one of them. This is entertainment. What are your thoughts on YouTubers and people from other walks of life entering boxing?
You know, like you mentioned, just building your fan base, you know, having that organic follow is so important. And you build that as you go, and the content that you have is going to grasp to the fans. And so when you have the fans, you know, you have the ticket sales, right? And so I think, you know, get it how you live, you know. If you can have content that people are able to watch and enjoy watching, you know, they're gonna stay watching, and they're going to buy your tickets, and they're going to come see you fight.
We're going to keep it moving here on Matchroom's Before the Bell. Next up, Nelson Perez takes on Raimundo Rios. We're going to throw it up to our ring announcer, David Diamante.
Ladies and gentlemen, from Manchester, New Hampshire, we're set to go with a special super lightweight attraction. Now set to make his ring walk, please welcome Raimundo Russo Rios.
Love this song.
And here comes Raimundo Rios. He's the challenger tonight, looking to make a statement. Well, Aaron Casper was the challenger, and he got a draw, so you never know what's going to happen in there.
You never know.
Proudly representing Mexico. Remember, this is Mexico versus Puerto Rico.
And now set to make his ring walk, please welcome the undefeated Nelson Chino Perez.
Here comes Nelson Perez, 30 years old, lives in Massachusetts, but he's born in Puerto Rico. He said he started boxing because of his kids. He told us, I wanted to show them that if you want to do something in life, just go for it. And so he did. He's 4-0 as a professional, looking to make it 5-0 tonight.
I feel like boxing's one of those sports where you're saying, hey, you know, I think I want to box, and you can do it, right?
Ladies and gentlemen, from the Southern New Hampshire University Arena, live on Dazn, we are set to go with a special super lightweight attraction. It's all being brought to you courtesy of Mr. Eddie Hearn of Matchroom Boxing. We are sponsored by BetOnline and JD Sports. Introducing your 3 judges scoring this contest from ringside. From Michigan, David DeYoung. From Massachusetts, John Madfis. And from Rhode Island, Eddie Scunzio. At the sound of the bell, your third man in the ring, referee Tom Clark. And now, ladies and gentlemen, 4 rounds of boxing scheduled in the super lightweight division. Introducing first, fighting out of the red corner, wearing the white trunks with the gold trim. He scaled 139.6 pounds. His professional record, 3 wins, 7 defeats, 2 draws, with 3 wins coming by way of knockout. Presentando de Gómez Palacio, Durango, Mexico. Introducing Raimundo Russo Rios. And his opponent across the ring, fighting out of the blue corner. He wears the white trunks with the blue piping. He's scaled at the super lightweight limit of 140 pounds, bang on. His professional record thus far perfect, 4 fights, 4 victories, 2 of them coming by way of knockout. He fights out of Marlboro, Massachusetts, by way of Aguadilla, Puerto Rico. Ladies and gentlemen, Nelson Chino Perez.
Okay, guys, we're over the rules in the dressing room. Watch your heads. This is good. Want a clean fight? Touch them up. Let's go.
And we get underway here for what could be a classic Mexico versus Puerto Rico matchup. That rivalry is always heated. Round 1 underway here at the SNHU Arena. This is Matchroom's Before the Bell. Karin Batia on the call, joined by Alicia Baumgardner, Raimundo Rios in the white and gold, and Nelson Perez in the white and blue trunks. And Perez looking to establish the jab.
I think both fighters are establishing the jab, which is great in round number 1.
And so when you look at Rios' record here, I have good news and bad news. The good news is in his pro debut, he knocked out Sergio Martinez. The bad news is it's a different Sergio Martinez, but it's still a knockout win nonetheless.
Watch the elbow.
Nelson Perez, he's 4-0. You know he's looking to make a statement here tonight. But Rios looks motivated. He's throwing combinations. He's moving forward. He's not here to just be an opponent.
Exactly. Both fighters are looking good round number 1. Again, establishing the jab, throwing more than 1 punch. Right hand just landed.
Both men trading jabs there. There's a nice hook, and down goes Rios. Nelson Perez. It looked like, we'll see the replay, but it looked like both men were going to throw the hook. And it looked like Perez's landed first.
Exactly.
So we have a knockdown here in round 1. You see how Raimundo Rios, he's on wobbly legs already. And the ref is going to let them continue. Here comes Nelson Perez. He has his moment.
With a minute left.
Throws the right hand, just misses. Some nice body work. And Rios is doing what you would want him to do after being knocked down, right? He's holding, he's trying to buy some time.
Exactly.
Nelson Perez scored the knockdown in round 1. Can he capitalize on it? Goes the jab. And it looked like Rios was looking for the equalizer there with that big right hand. Do you think Rios has his legs under him here?
I would say he has his legs under him.
As he landed a
He's
nice
again
uppercut.
going back to that jab. I would say if Perez keeps that pressure on him, he can also land that hook again.
And we'll take a look between rounds at the knockdown. 10 seconds left here in round 1. Both men throwing combinations here. It looks like Rios has established his legs under him. after getting up from that knockdown.
Great round. Great round.
And let's take a look here. Round 1. Both men tying up there. And it was the left hook. Both men threw the left hook.
Oh, wow.
And Perez has just landed first, right?
Both fighters show that they both belong in there. So that was a great round number 1.
So if you're in the corner of Rios, your man just got knocked down, but it did seem like he had his legs under him. What are you telling him here for round 2?
You know, again, still establish that jab because, you know, Rios is throwing great punches as well. So I think if he's throwing more than one punch and adding those combinations, you know, he can definitely land a flush punch on Perez.
Let's get underway here. Round 2. Nelson Perez in the white and blue. Raimundo Rios in the white and gold. And after an eventful round 1, both men here looking to establish the jab. Nice combination there from Perez. If you're in the Perez corner, are you going to tell him to throw that hook again?
Yes, but, you know, time it, though. You don't want to just go out there looping a hook. You know, you want to set it off the jab, and I think that's important if Perez can do that. Again, he's doubling up on that jab, which I like.
Perez double and tripling up on the jab.
Keeping Rios guessing, you know, that's good.
Oh, there's another left hook that landed for Perez. And again. And he's having success with that punch. Rios does not see that hook coming. Again, the left hand. I mean, it seems like that's going to be there all night. There, down goes Rios in round 2. The left hook lands again for Nelson Perez.
Guess when it's working, go right back to it.
Rios was able to get up in round 1. He was on wobbly legs. Turns his back to the referee. Referee's going to let them continue. And if you're Perez, you're going right back to that left hook, right?
Right.
Rios still on wobbly legs.
Good.
And Perez doing what he should do. He's taking his time. He's backing him up.
Yes, coming forward, you know, still getting out of the way of the punches. Lining him up perfectly.
There's a nice right uppercut. It's been all Nelson Perez in this 4-round fight.
I think Perez is comfortable, you know. He's establishing that rhythm, so.
And Rios is holding on. It's been all Nelson Perez with 30 seconds to go in round 2. Landed a knockdown from the left hook in round 1. Landed it again in round 2. And it looks like he's going for it again. Lands another one that stuns Rios once more.
Perez is definitely comfortable in there, you know, having fun. He's definitely having fun in there, knowing that hook is landing.
And if you're in the Rios corner, I mean, you just want to make it out of this round, get a minute of rest, regroup.
Right. Again, you know, this fight is a rivalry between a Mexican and Puerto Rican, and, you know, they're definitely showing heart. They have heart, and Rios is definitely staying in the fight, regardless of those hooks.
Let's look at the replays here. It was the left hook working for Nelson Perez, and boom, there it was. It just seems like Rios has no answer. He doesn't see that punch coming.
At all.
And so if you're in the corner of Rios, I mean, what adjustments can he make? Can he keep his right hand higher on his chin? What can he do?
Definitely keep his hands up, you know, because he knows that hook is coming. But again, he's relentless in there, so he's just coming forward.
Nelson Perez looking to improve to 5-0. He knows this victory would be extra special to him because it is Mexico versus Puerto Rico, as we mentioned. Perez coming out, throwing the jab. Seems like Rios has a little bit more head movement in this round 3.
Yeah, I would agree. I think he knows that Perez is coming forward, so he needs to definitely keep his hands up to avoid getting dropped again.
It's been a nightmare start for Rios. This is not the fight he envisioned. Dropped once in round 1, dropped once in round 2, and I mean these in a 4-round fight. I mean that's very tough. That's a huge hole to dig out of.
It is. Both having the heart though and continue fighting. You know, that's what we like to see, and just keeping it action packed.
I mean, you expect nothing less from Mexico
Nothing
versus
less.
Puerto Rico, right?
Nothing less.
Rios is 0-1 outside of Mexico. He's looking to change that to get a win on the board, but he's certainly way down on the scorecards. Almost definitely 2 10-8 rounds against him in round 1 and 2 after being dropped. And it's pretty much at the point where Rios needs a knockout to win.
I agree. I definitely think he needs a knockout to win. Perez is in there. He's having fun, you know, even getting the rounds in. And, you know, establishing, again, the jab in boxing and having fun.
Perez certainly having fun in there. He's doing what he wanted, right?
Exactly.
This is what you practice in the gym, and you say, I'm going to come out and execute my game plan, and that's what's happening for him tonight.
Exactly.
The other advantage that Perez seems to have, he looks like a long puncher. He's not standing too close to Rios, and it looks like the right hand is still landing from that distance.
Right. You know, again, he's establishing his distance against Rios and is doing a great job.
Both men throwing combinations, tangling up here. Rios knowing he's way down on the scorecards. He needs to make something special happen to have a chance here. And to his credit, he's not just cruising to a loss here. He's not defending himself to where he's not engaging. He looks like he's trying to turn this around, but Nelson Perez is not letting that happen. He landed another left hook there, and that's been the story of this fight with 10 seconds to go in round 3. And that takes us to the end of round 3. Nelson Perez in full control. Scored a knockdown in round 1, scored a knockdown in round 2. And let's take a look at some of the highlights here. You can see Perez there going for the left hook. And why not if it's working?
Right. I think if he can sit down a little more on his legs, you know, that hook will land clean. And I don't think Rios would be getting up after that.
Rios got up off the canvas.
But great fight, you know, action-packed as we know that we were going to get. And I think Perez can land another good hook in this round and finish him. So let's see coming into round number 4. It
always happens, right? Mexico versus Puerto Rico never disappoints. The 4th and final round here. Nelson Perez in the white and blue trunks. Raimundo Rios in the white and gold. Perez certainly up on the judges' scorecards with 2 knockdowns. And it's up to Rios. He knows he needs a knockout to win.
I think now it's who can land the hardest punch.
And would you like to see Rios here fight with a little bit more urgency, knowing that he's down on the scorecards?
Yeah, I would. You know, I think, again, it'd be in the last round.
Oh, there's a nice right hand for Nelson Perez. Nelson Perez lands a right hand, lands a left hook, and he's not taking this round off.
No,
he's not
not
coasting to a win here. He wants a knockout. Oh, there's a huge right hand for Nelson Perez.
Good.
Followed up by a great left hook.
I think if Perez can keep that pressure, he can get him out of there.
A nice lead jab for Perez. And it does seem like when Nelson Perez does engage in those combinations, one thing Rios is doing to blunt his offense is holding. So what can Perez do to get out of that?
Turn him. Use his angles and jump right back on him. And again, if he's holding, if you have that free hand, work that free hand.
Less than 1:30 left in this fourth and final round. Nelson Perez has been cruising. And it doesn't seem like he's happy with a decision victory. It looks like he wants to get this knockout. Barely misses with the right uppercut there.
More than one punch.
And you can see there Perez doubling and tripling up on the jab. And that's setting up his power shots.
Exactly.
Here comes Raimundo Rios. Landed the uppercut, backing up Nelson Perez. But it may be too little too late with 30 seconds to go. So if you're Perez at this point, are you okay with just kind of cruising to the finish line knowing that there's only 20 seconds left in this fight?
I would say no. I feel like if I've had him hurt and dropped him more than once, I'm going to commit to all my punches and continue going forward until I can get a knockout victory.
And we come to the end of the fourth and final round. Nelson Perez landed a knockdown in round one, landed another one in round two. This isn't like our first fight of the night. We probably know which way this decision is going.
Right.
So with this fight, Rios is going to drop to 3-8-2. 3 of those wins by knockout. What would be your advice to Rios as he continues his career?
I would say, continue, staying in the gym and working. I think, he has some great skills. I think Perez was just a better fighter tonight. And, again, move your head, Don't take unnecessary punches.
And let's look at that. That was the knockdown in round one. They both went for the left hook. Perez has landed first. Could have been a very different fight if Rios has landed first. It was a beautiful left hook. And then again in round two. You see Rios' head there spin on an angle. And to Perez's credit, he didn't let up. Even though he had the fight mostly in the bag, he wanted to put on a performance. He knew that this is a big stage on Matchroom before the bell. He knew that people are tuned in to watch him here. He wanted to gain some fans.
Yeah, I think, for it being a 4-round fight, he did everything right. He kept the intense fight between him and Rios.
And we're just waiting for the official particulars, and David Diamante is ready with the official decision.
Ladies and gentlemen, after 4 rounds here in Manchester, New Hampshire, all 3 judges scored this bout identically, 40-34. For your winner, he's still undefeated, Nelson Chino Perez.
Nelson Perez improves to 5-0 with 2 knockouts. Landed 2 knockdowns along the way. Definitely a very impressive performance by the 30-year-old, and he can build upon this.
Yeah, absolutely. Every fight is a building block, and I think he had a great performance for a 4-round fight that he can build from this.
he had such success in there, but if you were to give him any critique, is there anything that you would tell him to do differently?
Just keep, when you have somebody hurt, again, commit to your punches. Be smart about it, but commit. I think he could have gotten Rios out of there quicker, but he was a smarter fighter, and he kept his jab going and was victorious.
And do you think if he was able to commit and sit down in his punches in that third round, in that fourth round, he could have gotten the knockout?
Yeah, absolutely. We know that the power comes from the legs, and I think that if he was able to sit down just a little more, he would have kept Rios from coming up.
And you have to give credit to Rios. I mean, he could have been here as the opponent, and he could have said, I'm down on the scorecards, knocked down twice. He could have quit. He did not.
He did not.
He chose to continue.
Yeah, he had the heart, and I think he's like, he wasn't quitting, and he continued pressing forward.
And we're going to bring in Eddie Hearn to join us here on Before the Bell. Eddie, what did you think of Nelson Perez there?
It's a good fight. I mean, it was lively. I mean, even Thomas O'Toole as well. Brutal knockout. A lot of action. Khalil Coe with the draw looked well below par. Looked like he struggled with his energy, his balance, everything in there. So big blow for him, even the draw, and a couple of good knockouts as well.
Khalil Coe, in his first fight, he had issues with the weight. And I understand you had a chat with him this time around to make sure that didn't happen.
He didn't just have issues with the weight. He came in 8 pounds over. I mean, that's unheard of, really. This time, he was working hard with his team and Keith Connolly to make that 175-pound limit. Now, one of the problems with Khalil Coe is we know he spent a lot of time in prison. He came out at 240 pounds. This is a while ago now. He's been getting his weight down, but he really needs to find, originally they felt he could make 168. Now he's struggling to make 175, but Khalil Coe does not want to be a cruiserweight. He don't want to be part of that division with the size that he is. So he has to make 175. But if it's going to take it out of him like we saw tonight, and I don't know if that's the exact reason, but that's a concern, because you can't be losing or even drawing at this level.
And that was my question. I mean, he was sluggish in there. Do you blame that 100% on the weight?
We'll have to look as a team and find out, but you've got to think that it's very likely that was a problem in the fight. I mean, he got caught by a couple of shots, and was it the weight cut? But something wasn't right. In a 4-round fight, as an athlete, someone with a decorated amateur career, you can't be struggling after 2 rounds. There's a reason for that, and we have to get to the bottom of that.
And on the other side of the coin, Thomas O'Toole, young Thomas O'Toole, he missed his college graduation to be here. Certainly the right call to be here instead, right?
Yeah, it's a massive opportunity for him. I mean, Thomas O'Toole doesn't have the biggest of amateur pedigrees. He's very highly regarded as, a good young Irish prospect, but looked good in here. Nice left hand, backed him up, and then bingoed him against the ropes. And that's the kind of show-real knockout you need as a prospect coming through. That's going to be seen all around the world. People are going to be watching that. That's how to make a statement, and it's important. That's why it was so disappointing for Khalil tonight, because it's your chance. Every time you go out there as a young prospect, you've got an opportunity to showcase your talent to the world. And it's not easy to get people excited with so many different prospects. So the ones that produce performances like that, you'll remember Thomas O'Toole's name, and it's on to the next one.
Thomas O'Toole now improves to 2-0. How soon can he get back in there? He's a young kid, only 23 years old.
Yeah, I mean, look, he's not signed with us, but all of a sudden you produce a performance like that, and you go in, he had nice support in here tonight, and you go, okay, we'll roll the dice with this young man. But if you don't look good, you don't get the call. It's very simple. And that was a performance that warrants another opportunity.
And our third fight of the night, it was Mexico versus Puerto Rico.
Yeah.
And it did seem like both guys wanted it, but what made the difference was that first round, and we're gonna take a look at it here. Both men went for the left hook. Nelson Perez's left hook landed first, and that was the key, and that set the tone for the fight.
Well, they didn't mess around, did they? I mean, both of them trading up left hooks there. Always Mexico against Puerto Rico, you're going to get a firefight. You're going to get that between Martinez and Arroyo in a couple of hours' time, but just the punch power, he looked heavy-handed in there, and he was always trading up with his opponent, and he came out on top.
So Nelson Perez, he got the job done. What do you think we'll see next from him? When is he going to be back in there?
Again, you know, a fighter that's here because he's a local fighter. You know, he's a young prospect and he's exciting. You know, I think a lot of these guys that don't have the amateur pedigree are going to have to move faster. They're going to have to take more risks. You know, and sometimes I heard your conversation earlier about going into enemy territory. You know, and that's sometimes where you can make your biggest statements. I mean, there's someone I know went into enemy territory last week and did quite well, you know, and made a statement. And sometimes you take those opportunities, and that's what people like O'Toole and those kind of guys will probably have to do. You know, Alicia wasn't blessed with a major contract when she turned pro and Olympic medals. Sometimes you've got to do it the hard way. But when you do it the hard way, sometimes it's the biggest statement of all.
And that really is the key, right? Taking those opportunities. We talked about Khalil Coe maybe failing to take that opportunity here tonight. In our main event, we have Demetrius Andrade versus Jason Quigley. And a lot has been made about Demetrius in these big opportunities. And what can he do to get these guys to fight him? He doesn't seem to want to be challenged by these top guys. And could that be because of his style? Does he need to do more with the opportunities, or is what he's doing okay?
I actually think he needs to do more with the opportunities. You know, we have this argument sometimes that, you know, I'm winning every round. I mean, I can't remember the last time he lost a round. Might have lost one to Liam Williams. But sometimes you've got to do more than that. Sometimes you've got to take people out. You know, at the Dunkin' Donuts Centre in Providence, we had 8,000 or 9,000 people there. He had Suleski hurt and out in the first round. It went 12 rounds. You know, MSG, he fought Akavov. He had him down. It went 12 rounds. Against Luke Keeley, we had him down in 10 seconds. It went 9 or 10 rounds. You know, Liam Williams, he had him down in the fight and out. It went 12 rounds. Do you know what I mean? So, like, for me, I want to see him be destructive because, again, that's what people want to see. And if he can do that, then I really believe that the sky is the limit for Demetrius Andrade. But people will use any excuse to say, oh, he's boring. Oh, he doesn't sell. Oh, he doesn't. He's an undefeated American world champion with a world middleweight championship. People like Charlo should be queuing up to fight him. It's a big fight. But they will all, oh, he's not exciting. Oh, he doesn't do this. So go out there and make a statement. It's difficult for him because he's got his dad, Paul Andrade, in the corner going, stop doing it. You know, box. Get behind a jab. Don't get involved. No, get involved. Right? Get involved. Tear up the script. Go out there and go crazy and take a guy off his feet. That's what's going to get people talking and calling for the big fights.
That's one way to do it, is to show yourself, your performance in the ring. Now, the other way, though, is the Floyd Mayweather method, right? He didn't knock people out, but his persona, right? People wanted to watch him lose. Do you think there's any chance that Andrade could maybe develop that persona as the bad guy, as the mean guy, people tuning in to watch him lose?
He's 30-0. You know, this is not a time to start remodeling his personality and his character and his persona. This is a time to go out and start making a statement with his fists. And, you know, unfortunately, people don't want to watch nice boxing all the time. Mayweather was a one-off, right? That specific style is not something, in my opinion, that's going to really excite the current, you know, generation of fight fans. They want to see you go in there. He's got a big personality. He's a good talker. He looks great. Just go in and knock people out. And I believe tonight, actually, I believe he'll do that because I think Quigley will be game. He'll come to win. And, you know, early on, Demetrius is a nightmare. If Quigley doesn't get through the first 3 or 4 rounds, he's in a whole lot of trouble because he'll have to take Andrade deep in the fight to win. But those, you know, that fast start, the feints, the awkwardness, you know, those looping uppercuts through the guard. I haven't seen a fighter that hasn't been taking those flush from Demetrius Andrade, and Quigley may struggle with that early in the fight.
And speaking of Jason Quigley, we know he's from Ireland. The arena's starting to fill in here. We had Thomas O'Toole from Ireland put on a great performance earlier. In your mind, are there going to be more fans from Ireland or more fans for Demetrius Andrade here?
I don't know. I mean, you know, we've got about 6,000 coming tonight, and Demetrius Andrade does well on his tickets. You know, we saw it in Providence. We're not far from Providence. He'll have a fair share here, but we've seen already the Irish pubs in the area are full up. The flags are already starting to be draped around. There's no fans like the Irish. You know, there's going to be a great atmosphere in here tonight, and you know, they'll be riding for Jason Quigley in here tonight.
And we have tonight on the Zone, starting at 8 o'clock, it's 4 title fights, right? That's not easy to do. Out of these 4 title fights, which fight are you most excited about?
I'm a big Julio Cesar Martinez fan, you know, and Mexico against Puerto Rico, always great fights. Martinez is never in a bad fight. Arroyo is the mandatory challenger, a very, very good fighter, part of Golden Boy Miguel Cotto Promotions. Akhmad Aliyev, for me, is a potential pound-for-pound great, the unified super bantamweight champion. I know Alicia will be interested as well in Kaylee Reese against Jessica Kamara, the headwind there. And that's a really good fight as well. All 4 World Championship fights. A lot of fun and plenty on the line.
In terms of Kaylee Reese versus Jessica Kamara, right? This is the road to undisputed in 140. This is what we all want in boxing, right? We want to get these undisputed fights. How do we get more of them? You're making it happen here. How do we do this overall globally in the sport?
We're making it happen in women's boxing. Right. Let's get it right. You know, the egos and the politics of male boxing. It's so exciting to work in female boxing because genuinely they want to unify. They want to make history. They want to fight the best. And because the growth is new and the growth is real, the money is there to attract people to the unification matches and the undisputed matches. You know, we had a meeting earlier today talking about the Michaela Meyer fight and the Choi fight. Like, look at Taylor Serrano. It's going to be generating purses that female boxing hasn't seen before. Michaela Meyer against Alicia Baumgardner. That is a mega fight in the making, you know. So, and they're ready. If you believe you can win, but the politics, the ego hasn't eked and leaked its way into female boxing yet. Stopping fights. No, we're not doing that. We're doing that. You're just sitting down with a fighter and their team saying, yeah, we'll. And the Road to Undisputed tournament at 140 is so refreshing for boxing because Chantel Cameron boxed Mary McGee, 3 weeks ago? Tonight you've got the other semi-final. In February, we'll have an undisputed champion in 3 or 4 months. You know, that's unheard of. And you know, you've got so many exciting fighters already in the mix in the pros. Got so many amateurs coming through as well. You know, the GB girls coming through. Lauren Price, Karis Artensdale, all around the world. Australia, you've got Sky Nicholson turning pro, great talent. It's so exciting, and you know, every female we're seeing at the top level is entertaining the fans, and that's the product.
And speaking of Australia, Dempsey McKean.
Yeah.
He's up next here. We're going up to heavyweight. Why are you excited about Dempsey McKean?
I'm excited about Australian boxing, full stop. You know, there's a real growth there now. We signed Brock Jarvis recently there. He's so exciting, so entertaining. You've got Tim Tszyu, just fought the other night and won there. You know, we've got Ebony Bridges, Dempsey, of course. I said Sky Nicholson, you know, big star in Australia. Dempsey McKean is the tower. He's 6'7" or something like that. He's 19-0. He's top 15 in 2 governing bodies. He's raw though, you know, and that's what I want to do with him. I just want to give him 2 or 3 8 and 10 rounders. Give him this experience. A lot of these fighters in Australia have been fighting in Australia. It's a different experience travelling on the bigger stage. So these kind of experiences will be great for Dempsey McKean. But the problem is in the heavyweight division, when you're up against a 290-pound opponent, one punch changes everything. Do you know what I mean? And you've got to be really careful. You've got to be really switched on because this guy he's fighting is a big dude. And you don't want to take one on the chin. Otherwise, the trip is not going to be as nice as you planned.
Absolutely. In heavyweight boxing, anything can happen. Eddie Hearn, thank you so much for the time. We know next up we have Dempsey McKean taking on Don Haynesworth here on Matchroom's Before the Bell.
Dream come true, obviously, to be signed with the biggest boxing promotional team in the world, being Matchroom Boxing. So, yeah, really looking forward to the future and my next fight. I made the move almost 3 months ago to the UK with my partner. You know, I spent the last 3 weeks in camp with Anthony Joshua. Then straight after the AJ fight, I pretty much went out to Portugal, spent about a month with Dillian Whyte in camp with him too. And then finally come back to the UK and I got about 2 weeks of training in with Tony Sims. And then we pretty much had to pack our bags straight away and come over to the States. Been a bit all over the place, you know, and shipped all over the place. But, you know, I've gained a lot of experience and got some invaluable rounds as well with some of the top guys. So. Coming straight out of Australia into the UK, you know, and then sparring a few of the top guys. You know, I'd done some rounds with Daniel Dubois as well before I come over to the States, you know, so you got Daniel Dubois, Dillian Whyte, Anthony Josh, you know, that's 3 of the biggest names and the better boxers in the heavyweight division at the moment. So, you know, I'm learning a lot and getting some good rounds in with these guys too. So it's a good sign that I do belong at the top level here. So.
Single jab, which is shorter.
We've been in talks with trying to get a fight on Matchroom for quite some time now, but like as I was saying before, the restrictions, lockdowns, it was actually quite hard for me to leave Australia. There's all we had to get exemptions, you know, visas, everything sorted. Immigration officer had to put a case together. So So there was a fair bit of work to be done there, you know, but we took that initiative and now we're overseas and, you know, look what's kind of landed in my lap the moment we have been based overseas, you know, some really good training camps with top level guys and, you know, my Matchroom debut coming up over in the States. There is a lot of good heavyweights, you know, the division is quite healthy at the moment, so we're looking at having a couple fights, you know, we need to get into a proper training camp with Tony Sims as well, we need to get our foot in there a little bit too, and then we'll be looking at some bigger names and trying to get one of the top 15 guys as well. We've got some plans on trying to crack the Australian market in the coming year or so, but hopefully the Australian Matchroom boxing stable can grow a little bit more as well. So it's always good to see Aussies on the top level and mixing up with some of the best guys as well. Like you said, George Kambosis is a hard worker. Brock Jarvis trained under Jeff Fennick as well, and then now the likes of myself coming on board. So very exciting times, and I'm looking forward to the boys all mixing up and coming home with some wins. I'm going to go out there and I'm going to make a statement. You know, I've got to put on a show. You know, this is my international debut. I've got to be smart as well. You know, I can't be getting too reckless. I've just got to go out there and make sure I put on a nice, tidy display and put on a good stoppage win.
And we're going to keep it rolling here. We're going up to heavyweight to see Dempsey McKean take on Don Haynesworth. And for that, we're going to throw it up to our ring announcer and MC, David Diamante.
Ladies and gentlemen, from the SNU Arena, we are set to go with a special heavyweight attraction. Set to make his ring walk, please welcome Mr. JBT, Don Haynesworth.
And here comes Don Haynesworth, nicknamed Mr. JBT for jaw-breaking time. In heavyweight boxing, you never know what's going to happen. And knockouts can always happen, so hence the nickname.
Jaw-breaking time.
Would you consider changing your nickname to that? No.
Yeah, I think I like the Bomb.
Has a good ring to it. Alicia the Baumgardner. Don Haynesworth representing New Rochelle, New York. 16-7-1. And he's going to have a tough test tonight against Dempsey McKean, who's undefeated 19-0.
And now set to make his ring walk, please welcome the undefeated Aussie big man, Don Tower McKean.
And there you see Dempsey McKean, the Tower, standing at 6'6". He's a southpaw from Australia, 31 years old. He's looking to make a big statement win. When I spoke to him earlier, asked for his prediction, he said there will be a KO in the first half of the fight. Started boxing 7 years ago to the day. He originally was an MMA fighter, a Muay Thai fighter, got the call to boxing and took it on just a few days' notice. And now he's undefeated, 19-0. Trying to get to 20-0 here tonight.
From Manchester, New Hampshire, live on Dazn, we are set to go with a special heavyweight attraction. And it's all being brought to you courtesy of Mr. Eddie Hearn of Matchroom Boxing. We're sponsored by Bet Online and JD Sports. Introducing your 3 judges scoring this contest from ringside. From Connecticut, Tom Carasone. From New York, Tony Paolillo. And from New Jersey, Steve Smoger. At the sound of the belt, your third man in the ring, referee Kevin Hope. And now, ladies and gentlemen, 8 rounds of boxing scheduled in the heavyweight division. Introducing first, fighting out of the red corner, wearing the black trunks with the blue trim. He scaled 293.6 pounds. His professional record, 16 wins, 7 defeats. He has 1 draw with 14 big wins coming by way of knockout. He fights out of New Rock City, New Rochelle, New York, Mr. JBT, Don Haynesworth. And his opponent across the ring fighting out of the blue corner. He wears the red trunks with the white trim. He scaled 243 pounds. This southpaw has a perfect professional record, 19 fights, 19 victories, 12 of them coming by way of knockout. He fights out of Ipswich, Queensland, Australia. Here's the former Queensland heavyweight champion, the former Australian heavyweight champion, and the reigning and undefeated WBO Asia Pacific and the IBF Intercontinental Heavyweight Champion, the Tower, Dempsey McKean.
Gentlemen. Okay, gentlemen, you've already had your instructions in the dressing room. Obey my commands at all times. Protect yourselves at all times. Watch your heads, no holding. Touch them up. Good luck.
Dempsey McKean. We get underway here. Round 1 of Matchroom's Before the Bell. Karan Bhatia on the call, joined by Alicia Baumgardner. Dempsey McKean in the red trunks. Don Haynesworth in the black and blue. Dempsey McKean, our main event headliner. We just heard Eddie Hearn talk about taking advantage of opportunities. And you know that that's in his mind here.
Yes, he's coming out. He's, showing he's coming forward and establishing that jab. Again, a southpaw.
He is a southpaw, and Don Haynesworth listed at 6'3". Dempsey McKean, his nickname's a tower because he's 6'6". So how would you make up the height difference if you're in the Haynesworth corner?
I'm looking up. I just know that I see the body. I'm going to the body. Establish those punches, break them down.
And it does get harder as the fight goes on to keep throwing punches up, right? As you get fatigued, the punches kind of go lower and lower.
Right. Haynesworth, I would say go to the body, break him down, see how good his core is, Sometimes that stomach isn't as strong as some may think.
Dempsey McKean working the jab, establishing position. Seems to be backing up Haynesworth. We mentioned the southpaw. I mean, that's not an easy thing to match up to, especially at this weight and this size. He calls this a big opportunity for himself. He knows this stage as well. Someone on his team told me this will be the lightest weight he was in years, and they call this a huge opportunity. He was set to fight last week, so therefore he's in great shape. That was by his team, so no excuses there from the Haynesworth camp. Round 1, about 30 seconds left to go. Would you like to see McKean open it up more, or are you okay with him kind of just establishing the distance and working the jab here?
I think I would like to see a little more jabs.
And there was a big left hand for McKean.
But again, the heavyweights move a little slower in the sense of establishing what they want to establish. But so far, Dempsey is showing, he's coming forward.
Dempsey McKean with a quick combination to the head, to the body. Round 1, mostly a feeling out round, but it did seem like Dempsey McKean was working the jab and doing more of what he wanted to do.
Exactly, yes. Slower pace, but again, the small punches always work together. And I like how McKean is, he's using his feints, he's using his shoulders. He's kind of establishing his rhythm a little bit to keep Haynesworth, guessing. Haynesworth, he's using his hand position to, block certain punches, which is also good.
Look, Haynesworth, he's on a 4-fight losing streak, but this is his chance to play spoiler.
No, I agree, definitely.
If he can do something here, have some type of success, I mean, he's back in the conversation, right?
I agree. One punch can change the whole fight.
That we know. Round 2 underway here. Dempsey McKean in the red trunks. Don Haynesworth, black and blue. Round 1, we saw McKean working the jab, establishing position. It looks like he's come out in round 2 doing the same thing.
Work out.
And there's also an age differential in this fight. Don Haynesworth is 39 years old. McKean, 31. But the thing about heavyweights, though, is heavyweights can have success even later in life, right? Because it's all about that power and that one punch, and that can stay with you even as you go later on, versus the lower weight divisions where it might be more about movement and combination punches and things like that.
Right, I agree. I think, with Haynesworth, he's staying there and how he doesn't have to move too much.
When I asked Dempsey McKean how this fight's going to go, he guaranteed a knockout in the first half of the fight. He sparred with the likes of Anthony Joshua, Dillian White, Daniel Dubois. So he feels like sparring with those guys, he knows he can fight at a top level.
It's always good to have that experience, having that ring experience in the sparring transition over. I would like to see, McKean, put more of his punches together, combinations as you're seeing right now.
And it seems like McKean, with less than 1:30 here to go in round 2, hasn't opened up fully the way he wants to. It seems like he's been kind of feeling it out, but it looks like there's a lot more there for him to go.
Definitely see that straight coming down the middle. I think he's just, again, filling out this round.
McKean, of course, from Australia. Next week on Matchroom and Dazn, we're going to see another fighter from Australia. George Kambosos is going to be taking on Teofimo Lopez from Madison Square Garden. That's a highly anticipated fight. We've had so many false starts on that one, and I know fans are definitely looking forward to it. But first, Kambosos' countryman, Dempsey McKean, at work here tonight. McKean is a former MMA fighter and Muay Thai fighter. Alicia, I know you spent time wrestling early on. Did that help you when you started boxing?
Yes, it definitely helped. It helped with balance. It helped with just balance, really. Balance is important in wrestling, and it's major in boxing. So wrestling is a great sport to start off with, to learn your balance.
Nice combination to the body and then to the head by McKean. It still feels like he's holding back a little bit.
Yeah, I would agree. I think, again, this is an 8-round fight. But Haynesworth could definitely, spiral down if McKean applies that pressure. He has the great height advantage, great jab. So I think if he can keep that pressure up, he can get, Haynesworth out of there.
And that's what we want to see from taller fighters, right?
Right.
When we saw, for example, Callum Smith fighting Canelo, Callum Smith was the taller fighter, but it didn't seem like he used that, right? He wasn't fighting at distance. He was crouching down. If you have the height advantage, you should use it.
Take it. Take advantage of what you already have, It's going to be beneficial if you know how to use it effectively.
McKean turned pro with little or no amateur experience. In the past, he's called out the likes of Joseph Parker, F.A. Ajagba, Tyson Fury. He wants all comers. To do that, though, he's probably going to have a good performance here. Calls it a dream come true to be signed by Matchroom as we get underway here. Round 3, Dempsey McKean in the red trunks. Don Haynesworth, the black and blue. It looks like there's going to be a stoppage to get the mouth guard. Back in for McKean. And McKean looked like it was a glancing blow to the head of Haynesworth, but Haynesworth did seem like he was wobbled a little bit there.
Again, Haynesworth holding on. I think that's his best advantage to do, is to hold on. Again, work that free hand while you're in the inside for McKean.
McKean landing combinations to the body. You mentioned you want to see Haynesworth go to the body, right?
Yes, you know, again, taller fighter, the body is open, take advantage.
And we're seeing some power shots from McKean, putting punches together here in round 3. Do you think it could have been part of the game plan in the McKean corner to maybe take the first 2 rounds a little slower, feel him out, and then maybe open up in the middle of the fight?
Possibly so, you know. Again, this is an 8-round fight. You know, they tend to get a little more tired in there. So taking your time is something that, you know, they're both doing.
You can see Haynesworth breathing heavily. It's a tough assignment to keep a large man off of you for this amount of time. And Haynesworth loading up there with the right hand.
Got good hand position by Haynesworth.
If you're Haynesworth at this point in the fight, you know, you're being backed up. McKean's landing combinations. Some of them are landing to the body, some to the head. Some are being blocked, but a lot of them are getting through. So if you're Haynesworth, do you need to land something of consequence to change the momentum of this fight?
Yes, you know, make him respect, you know, the power that you have. You know, McKean's just coming in with confidence, and I think that if Haynesworth is able just to sit down on a punch, even an overright hand could really, you know, make McKean respect him just a little bit.
And here comes McKean. He's got hand speed for a heavyweight, right? This isn't a slow plodding heavyweight who's just setting up the big straight left hand. This is a guy who has combinations. He's throwing them to the body, to the head, and he's moving as well. That's a dangerous opponent.
Yeah, again, he's moving his feet. He's showing his footwork, you know, and I think as a heavyweight, that's you see that with Tyson Fury, and I think that's an advantage for heavyweight fighters.
Absolutely. Tyson Fury able to use the movement as we close out round 3. And on top of it all, McKean is a southpaw. So there's a lot of good things going for McKean here.
Yeah, definitely a lot of advantages.
So not to look ahead, because in boxing, anything can happen. But part of boxing and being a fan of the sport is to discuss mythical matchups. We talked about McKean calling out Joseph Parker, calling out Tyson Fury. How do you think he would match up against these guys?
You know, I would say, you know, good in a sense. You know, I want to see this fight will tell me a lot. You know, you have Haynesworth in front of you. I think, you know, you're showing your advantages of your height, you being a southpaw, you using your footwork. You know, take advantage of those, and then you know, those other fighters are, you know, experienced at the top level, and so you're going to need all those and you need to put it all together. And I think if he could do that now for this fight, he would look great against one of those
And
fighters.
we spoke to Eddie Hearn between fights here, and he was talking to us about the importance of taking advantage of the opportunities. This is an opportunity, a showcase for Dempsey McKean. He's from Australia. He's newly signed to Matchroom. He said it's a dream come true. With that type of situation, does he need to at least get a knockdown here to have a good performance, to show his presence here in the heavyweight division?
Right, you know, as Eddie mentioned, taking advantage of the opportunity, but also making a statement, and I think a strong statement with a knockout, and, you know, really showcasing why you belong there and why this opportunity was given to you.
Don Haynesworth was knocked out in the third round to Jay Lee Zong in 2018, knocked out in the third round to Bryant Jennings in 2017. He's made it to the fourth round here. Again, his management said this is the lightest weight he'll be in years. They said he's in the best shape that he's been in a while, and they called this a huge opportunity, so it's definitely not lost on them. But McKean there just landing combinations at will.
I think that's a great advance for McKean to put, more than one punch together.
He's showing off that hand speed, which is rare at the heavyweight level. It's the way that he's doing it here. Dempsey McKean. Would you like to see McKean work a little bit more in these punches?
Yes, again, always work that free hand if you have it. I think that's important. Those punches count, just as much as the punches outside. Perfect 1-2.
And here comes Dempsey McKean. His prediction was the first half of the fight he was going to get a knockout. For him to do that, he's got to make something happen in this round with less than a minute to go in round 4.
I think Haynesworth is not going to commit unless McKean is coming forward. So again, McKean taking advantage of this round, 30 seconds left, and putting your punches together.
McKean throwing combinations, backing Haynesworth up. But to Haynesworth's credit, it's not like we've seen him seriously hurt at any point in this fight. And here comes Dempsey McKean, landing combinations on Haynesworth on the ropes. Dempsey McKean, left hand, right hand. Haynesworth doesn't seem to have an answer. Is he going to make it to the bell here? Another big left hand.
I think he was ready for the ref to stop that.
And it looks like he did make it to the bell there. But that was not a good end to round 4. It seemed like McKean had it in his head that he predicted. It's almost like someone told him, hey, you said you were going to knock this guy out in the first half. You got 10 seconds to do it. And let's take a look here. Round 4, McKean backing up Haynesworth. Punches and bunches, varying where he's throwing them from, where they're landing to. I mean, that's a beautiful display. I mean, how many unanswered punches is this from McKean? Do you think Haynesworth was saved by the end of the round there?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I think he was looking for the ref to step in. Again, I think McKean can definitely jump on him this round.
Round 5 underway here. Dempsey McKean in the red trunks, throwing combinations at will, picking up where he left off from round 4. And can Don Haynesworth turn it around here? And he's eating combinations from Dempsey McKean. Working the jab. There's a nice left hand that got through for McKean. McKean has been a 3-time Australian champion. He's ranked in the top 15 in the IBF, the WBO. And he's got big fights on his mind, but before that, he's got to get through Don Haynesworth here tonight in Manchester, New Hampshire. And McKean again with the combinations. It doesn't seem like Haynesworth has an answer or will have an answer. And is it about time for the corner of Haynesworth to have a conversation about how much longer this fight should go?
Yeah, I agree. I think he's getting hit with unnecessary punches. And, either show that you're willing to stay in the fight or... Dempsey, is definitely going to finish you.
Dempsey McKean, he looks poised. He's been able to do what he wants in there. Been showing off the hand speed, showing off the combination punches and bunches, backing up Don Haynesworth. We don't know the official scorecards, but McKean seemingly most likely up on all of them. He predicted that he was going to get a knockout in the beginning of the fight, the first half. But could he, assuming this fight goes the way it's continued to go, can he build off of just banking rounds and dominating an opponent?
Yes, I would agree that he can do that. But again, being effective in those rounds, again, using the jab, using your footwork, he has great footwork. And I think if he can punch off his footwork, that would be very effective as well.
And that brings us to the end of round 5. It's all Dempsey McKean here at the SNHU Arena in Manchester, New Hampshire. Remember, at 8 o'clock, switch over to the Zone. We have a stacked card for you. 4 title fights. Kaylee Reese takes on Jessica Camara. MJ Akhmadaliev against Jose Velasquez. Julio Cesar Martinez versus McWilliams Arroyo in another Mexico versus Puerto Rico matchup. And finally, Demetrius Andrade defends his middleweight title against Jason Quigley from Ireland, making the trip over, looking to make a statement here tonight. One of the biggest fights of Jason's life, if not the biggest. And also, the pressure's probably a little bit on Demetrius Andrade, because we spoke to Eddie Hearn, his promoter, and we talked about if Demetrius does a performance like he's done in the past where he hurts a fighter, has them knocked down, but then doesn't finish the job with a knockout, is that okay? And Eddie Hearn said he'd like to see Demetrius step on the gas and have an impressive performance.
No, I agree, and I think that it's going to, again, set Demetrius apart.
And in the meantime, here comes Dempsey McKean, landing combinations, and the referee is going to stop it. That was a good stoppage, because Don Haynesworth had absolutely no answer for Dempsey McKean.
Not at all. Just taking unnecessary punches and, it's not good. It's not good.
Dempsey McKean said he wanted to finish the fight in the first half. He did it there in the 6th round. He got the knockout win, and this has been the storyline. This is what we've been talking about all night, taking advantage of your opportunities. And let's take a look here at the end of the fight. Combinations, big left hand. He's a southpaw. And Don Haynesworth just covering up with no answer, and that's a great stoppage for the referee, from the referee. Again, the big left hand. And Haynesworth, he just had no answer tonight.
None.
So if you are Dempsey McKean, you got your stoppage win. Do you think he's ready for the big names? That's what he wants.
I mean, I would say I would give him another fight under his belt, just to, again, let loose. Don't play it safe in there. Let it all out, and you can really see who you are as a fighter when you just let it go and let your punches go.
We learned a lot about who Don Haynesworth was tonight. We learned a lot about who Dempsey McKean was tonight. And to make it official, we're going to throw it up to David Diamante.
Ladies and gentlemen, referee Kevin Hope calls a halt to this contest. The official time of the stoppage, 27 seconds of round number 6. Your winner by TKO. He's still undefeated. The Tower, Dempsey McKean.
And we will be speaking to Dempsey McKean. An impressive performance. He improves to 20-0, 13 knockouts. And honestly, I mean, we talked about how elusive Tyson Fury is because he can move. Dempsey McKean can move. He's got combination punches. He's a southpaw. He's big. He's rangy. He's got hand speed. I mean, there doesn't seem to be much missing.
No, I think, he definitely has a great package for a heavyweight. Again, I think I would love to see him just throw more combinations again, commit to those punches. He can already hit hard, but when you can commit and let your punches go, you can really see how good of a fighter you really are, I believe.
And Dempsey McKean, he did that. He didn't want to cruise to a victory. He kept the pressure on all the way through, and he got the stoppage win. He knew that this was a big moment, being signed to Matchroom, being the headliner of Before the Bell here. Don Haynesworth stayed on his feet. He tested McKean. He made him put in the rounds. But it's back to the drawing board for Don Haynesworth. Before the fight, McKean said he wanted a nice, tidy display and a good stoppage win. Well, he did just that. He's held regional titles. He's held Australian titles. And we'll ask him when he gets up here. I'm sure he's wanting to get a crack at the top opposition, the world title holders. There's a lot of big players in heavyweight right now. A lot of exciting matchups. And I'm sure he's going to be in line to take on someone. He was ranked in the top 15 in the IBF and WBO. Will seemingly move up those rankings based on this knockout win against a game opponent, Don Haynesworth. I mean, he didn't have an answer towards the middle or the end of the fight, but stayed on his feet, and he did what he could in there, but it just wasn't his night.
It wasn't his night, no. Again, McKean took advantage. Again, he used his boxing generalship to really showcase his heavyweight status.
Absolutely, and we're going to be speaking to Dempsey McKean. They call him the Tower, 6'6". There he is. Dempsey. I'll hand you a mic. Hey, I'm good. How was that performance? Rate your performance. How did you feel in there tonight?
It's all right, I started the fight. I thought I started quite well, using my range, using my length, something I've been working on. And then towards the end, I started falling in a little bit, We're trying to correct those things as we're going along. But, this is a short notice fight for me. I pretty much only had about 2 weeks in camp with my new coach, Tony Sims. I was in the AJ camp for sparring, and then I was in the Dylan White camp for sparring. I spent a couple of months with them. Come back to Tony Sims, done 2 weeks with him, and then pretty much over to the States and work with Adam Zayas over here, So I've been all over the place. So,
and we're going to take a look at your handiwork and take us through what you see here. Don Haynesworth coming to the ring.
He's a big guy, Had about 50-odd pounds on me as well. So big guy. We knew he was quite durable. He's trying to be a little bit staunch there as well, but hey, that's all right. So I just had to play it smart, use my range, pick my shots. We knew he was durable. We didn't want to get carried away too much.
It seemed like round 1 and 2, you wanted to start a little slow. Was that the game plan?
Yeah, just feel him out, see what he's about, test the power, get used to his style a little bit, start to see some punches coming. But, first international fight, so it's not too bad.
And your hand speed is pretty incredible for heavyweight, right?
Yeah.
You throw like a lightweight here.
Yeah.
That was obviously a huge advantage. And what do you see here?
Coming back with his hands on, I should have just held my range there a little bit more, played it smart, I was getting a little bit hungry for that finish, when you see the opening, sometimes you just can't help to go for the kill, but, I'm still learning. I have no amateur background at all. I've only had 19 boxing fights, fell into took a professional boxing fight on a day's notice. So I'm still learning, I'm still green on the job. So I know I've got a long way to go, but I'm keen, I'm motivated.
You mentioned you started boxing 7 years ago, almost to the day, right?
Yeah.
So this is your anniversary of when you started.
Pretty much, and I was doing a bit of MMA and Muay Thai back then, and a professional boxing fight came about on a day's notice, so I jumped in and took that, and that's kind of how I started boxing about 7 years ago. So.
We spoke about your prediction before the fight. Now, I know you said you were going to get a knockout in the first half of the fight.
Yeah. Fourth round I was expecting.
This was the 6th round.
6th round. That's all right, give or take a couple of rounds. You can never be perfect all the time, but, a stoppage is a stoppage and a win's a win. That's the main thing, We just got to keep those wins rolling in and keep climbing those rankings. That's the main thing,
And you've sparred with top-level fighters, as we talked about. Anthony Joshua, Dillian White, Daniel Dubois. So you feel like you belong at the top level?
Definitely, and moving over to the UK now. I've been over the UK for a couple of months, and I'll be keen to get back and start training with Tony Sims and have a proper camp under him, rather than work alongside AJ coaches, Dillian White's coaches, Tony and Adam over here. It's just been, too many different coaches in that short period of time. So proper camp under Tony Sims and some good proper sparring revolved around me. I'm excited, the future's looking bright.
And you have called out fighters in the past. Joseph Parker has been one of them.
Yeah.
Tyson Fury has been another.
Well, Tyson Fury actually called me out a couple of years ago when he was looking for a world title defence. So I would fight him in a heartbeat, 100%. But they weren't interested in the southpaw at the time. So.
So the question now is, after this performance, the main event of Before the Bell here on Matchroom, who do you want next?
Yeah, I think Eddie's got some plans for me. I think we're going to have another step-up fight as well. Get a proper camp under Tony Sims. Have a pick a smart fight. Another step up, another decent name we're looking at, and then we'll be looking at quite a big name after that, I think. So
one more fight before the big fight.
I think that's all we want. We want to get used to our new coach and a proper training camp as well. Got to be smart with this. I've got to gel with my new coach, get familiar with him. So.
Dempsey McKean, congratulations.
Thank you very much. Good
on a massive win. We know heavyweight is red hot, and what's also hot right now is many divisions in women's boxing, and one of those is the road to undisputed at 140, and that includes Chantel Cameron. So we're going to take a look at some of her handiwork here on Before the Bell.
Step back when we worked on, feed it off, and let him come and then drop it.
And I'm joined here by Chantel Cameron, and of course we're looking at the road to undisputed. You're coming off your big win versus Mary McGee. Now that it's been a little time, what do you think about your performance versus McGee?
I think it was a great fight, so it was both of us as well. It wasn't just me in that ring, he put on a good fight, so yeah, what a night, and it was the best night of my life. And obviously come away from it and room for improvement now. I've got to see who wins this tonight and room for improvement to make sure that I take all those belts on the final.
And so the next step in the road to undisputed is going to happen later tonight at 8 o'clock on the Zone. We have 4 title fights. The first one, Haley Reese versus Jessica Kamara. I know that you are going to be an interested observer for that fight. How do you see that one playing out?
I think it's going to be a very good fight. I think Kamara, obviously, she's the underdog. I think she's going to come out there tough, hungry, all guns blazing, but I think Haley Reese will get a points win.
Do you have a preference either way as to who you fight next year?
I think with Haley Reese, I think she's got a better resume. Obviously, she's more experienced, got a great record. But no, not really, because I want all them belts, so it doesn't matter who I'm facing. As long as I get them belts, that's what matters to me.
And in terms of you getting all those belts, when we saw you in there versus McGee, you had to make it a tough fight. You had to overcome some adversity. You ended up winning the fight pretty wide, but it wasn't necessarily a walk in the park. Are you expecting the same type of challenge when you get to face the winner of Reese versus Kamara?
Definitely. I think we're world champions at the end of the day. There's no easy fights when you're facing another world champion. No, if you're a world champion, the last thing you want to do is losing your belt. So So you've got to fight like a dog in there and do whatever it takes to win. So definitely no fight's going to be a walkover in this tournament.
Chantel Cameron, thank you so much. And the next step on the road to 140 undisputed starts tonight on the Zone. That's going to be Kaylee Reese versus Jessica Kamara, but the entire card is stacked. It's 4 title fights. So let's take a look at what we have planned tonight.
One night, 4 world title bouts.
7 straps up for grabs. Wow, what a lineup.
It's time for the main event of the evening. Andrade!
Every time I see this man, he gets better and better. Just the total package of a champion.
Andrade remains undefeated.
Quigley!
What a stage for Quigley to showcase himself. If he's on form, he could be a real handful.
Wow, what a finish. It's world title fight night on the Zone. Let's get it on.
And that is what's on tap here later tonight at 8 o'clock Eastern. You're going to want to turn on the Zone and catch 4 title fights. And of course, headlined by Demetrius Andrade defending his middleweight championship belt against Jason Quigley, the motivated challenger. We had a great set of fights here from before the bell. I want to thank all of my guests. I want to thank Alicia Baumgardner for joining me, Chantel Cameron, Eddie Hearn. I hope you guys enjoyed the fights here. We're going to see you next week from New York City, from Madison Square Garden for Teofimo Lopez versus George Kambosos. I can't wait for that one. So for Matchroom Before the Bell and for the entire Matchroom team, I am Karan Bhatia. Thank you so much for being with us.
Ladies and gentlemen, good evening and welcome. It's now time for the feature bout of the evening. From the 4 corners of the world to the 4 corners of this ring, the fight